I want to go on a little bit more here with what's happening in the White House and across the country. So, again, if you are watching Trump, you know he is making more and more erratic claims. He is claiming more and more power that is extraordinary, including today. And not only did he tear down the East Wing of the White House, but he has doubled down on the idea that without any input from Congress, and certainly without a declaration of war, he can continue to make strikes against unnamed, unidentified people in small boats in the Caribbean and now in the Pacific. And that is the declaration that a president can simply declare to kill people. And the implication next is that he can do the same thing in the United States of America. This is extraordinary. It is unacceptable. And it's something to be screaming very loudly about. Is even Rand Paul says, we don't know who those people were. We literally do not know. The Trump administration says they were murderers, they were narco terrorists. We have absolutely no idea who they were. And again, the crimes for which he is executing them without any kind of due process do not generally carry a life sentence, a death sentence. So this is really far out there. And one of the things that has jumped out lately is that Trump's numbers, which were always poor, I mean, except at the very beginning, are now abysmal. They are incredibly low. And people are frightened of what he's doing. Most people think that he is acting dictatorially. They don't like it. They want that to stop. And you can start to see that there is pushing back on some of what he is doing and increasing, again, little flickers. But you're seeing, for example, in Indiana, he's putting huge pressure on Indiana to gerrymander that state to pick up one more Republican seat there for 2026. And Indiana sure looks like it's not going to do it. Indiana, despite the fact it has a strong Republican Party there. You're also seeing the fact that today a member of the Department of Justice said he or she, I don't know who it was, could not indict Adam Schiff, that the senator from California. The evidence wasn't strong enough. Now that person is going to be replaced almost certainly. But you're starting to see people recognize that those people who still have a choice about whether or not to be implicated in the crimes that the administration is committing are starting to back away. And the more those people back away and say, we don't want to be any part of that, the more power will go to places like Illinois, where J.B. Pritzker today, the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker today established a commission to keep records of what the ICE agents are doing in Illinois and other federal agents are doing it in Illinois so that they can be brought to justice under a different Department of Justice. You're starting to see real concerted pushback on this incredibly unpopular government. You got to remember that dictatorships almost exclusively rise when the dictator is popular because people support what he is doing. In this case, Trump is unpopular. People don't support what he is doing. So there is still room to push back against him. Now, in terms of that, lots of people frustrated, feeling like nobody's doing enough. I will tell you, a lot of people are doing a lot of things, and you should not feel as if nothing is getting done. And this is everywhere from in Capitol Hill, where the Democrats really are trying to throw sand in the gears of what the Republicans are doing. It's also happening in the state houses. It's also happening in social media. It's happening in the streets. There is a lot of pushback. But you want something special to do? Feel like your time is being well spent? Stop worrying about 2026 and 2028 and who the candidates might be then or might not be or how we should handle that. Focus on the fact that we have a major election coming up in this country in about 2 weeks, and that is the November elections of 2025 this year, in which there are 52,000 races on the ballot. And those races are incredibly important. So in Maine, for example, while everybody's focusing on who's going to be running for senator, which, by the way, the primaries aren't until next June. We have on the ballot this next month a question of whether or not we're going to dramatically limit absentee ballots. Why does that matter? 40% of voters in Maine use absentee ballots. You get rid of that, you've dramatically cut down on who votes in the state of Maine, and that will matter now, of course, but it will in 26, but it will also, I'm sorry, it'll matter in 2026. It will also matter in 2028 when, the Republicans will have cut a number of Democratic voters out of the ballot. So if you care about what's going to happen down the road, focus in places like Maine where that's happening. Pennsylvania, there are three state Supreme Court judges on the justices on the ballot. Another case where people aren't really paying attention to those races, but they must be paying attention to those races because that's going to determine who gets to vote and what gerrymandering might look like going forward in the key swing state of Pennsylvania. Two gubernatorial races in New Jersey and Virginia coming up in November. You've got, as I say, races all over this country. You've got Proposition 50, I think it is, in California about pushing back against the gerrymandering that Texas did. So if you're really worried about what 2026 might look like or what 2028 might look like, your moment is now to look in November, because the trick to the November elections, the November 2025 elections, is that most of them will be determined by turnout. So find an organization that is working on organizing people to get to the polls, to make them aware of what's at stake, to make sure they know it's important. Because in these off-year elections, usually Republican voters show up, Democratic voters do not. And as I keep saying, this election, and I suspect the next two elections, are not going to be partisan. They're about protecting our democracy. So you want to be voting for the pro-democracy candidates. And when that happens, in 2026, people who are running for office are going to say, whew, if I want votes, I better be protecting democracy as well. So for all the people who are like, what are we going to do? What can we do to stop him? And all sorts of, concerns about that. Literally, here's something you can do in the next 2 weeks to dramatically weaken Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And again, a really major showing in these elections across the country. These 52,000 elections are going to be a real sign of what's going to happen in 2026. So I really, really urge people to get out there, not just yourself, but make sure people know about these elections in your states. Get with the organizations that are fighting for those issues currently in those states, and turn out to support the pro-democracy candidates.